Mkhulunsingiza, we are ready, as we are about to educate and awaken and empower us about what is it that media and the perpetuation of colonism. So that is the topic of today. So Mkhulunsingiza, and those who just walked in, we welcome you, we love you. We always love your presence. Siyanibona. All right. Yeah. Mkhulunsingiza, we're ready for you. All right. Thank you so much.
Thokoza. Ngiyavusela emakhosini ngithi bayede. Ndlovukazi. 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 Antu. Thokozani makhehla. Ngithi ngivule nje ngokuthi ngibonge bonke abaphakathi kwamagceke. Ninyathelela nizosibusisa ukuthi umsebenzi ube lula. Siyabonga kakhulu. We never take that for granted. Ukunyathela nje komuntu ngaphakathi akahambi yedwa, hamba namadlozi. Maybe millions of you are here. So siyabonga makhehla. Ngiqale nje ngoku uPaula nje ngale character yesilwane sika Geb. Igusi. Yini tata? Yini igusi? Cha into engizama ukuyisho ukuthi thina bantu besilisa salimala vele from the beginning, from the start. Ukuze ba choose igusi because of its character, what it attributes, izinto ezenzayo kuthiwa is because of infidelity to its partner. Manje mina mengicabanga ngithi igobondela yaqala lapha. Unuthi washaya uGeb. Ngoba uGeb lokhamlandela nje waya. So njengoba silokho sikule season kaGeb, siyayiqeda siyayivala. Siyivala manje nge-21st zika March. Niyazi ukuthi i-21st zaka March, it's a very very important date for abantu abamnyama, because that's when we lost a lot of people. ngi-21st kaMarch. So I don't know whether it was coincidence or into nje beyihlelwe umoya ukuthi at that point, because remember ukuthi besisuka from the most important day June 16. June 16 liberated South Africa. Why? Because June 16 yiyo eyenza ukuthi amabhunu started negotiating nabotata emajele and everybody else. Then makufika ke ilentuza the 21st of March in 1960, was it 60? Yes, eSharpeville. Kula abantu abamnyama khona bakhombisa the strength of unity. Because without that unity, ukuthi abantu ba reject whatever laws were there at the time as a collective of black people, shokuthi badele nokufa, because a lot of people died, and ukufa kwabo it wasn't in vain, because okwamanje siyakhona ukuma in our platforms and sikhuluma the way sikhuluma ngakhona, because before you wouldn't be able to do this. Ngabe sonke nje we are targets. Iprotea amabhunu yasilandela. But manje, because of ama sacrifices abo abazali bethu, they gave us this so-called freedom. So nathi we should never take it for granted. Kuzeke otsiyetsi, fortunately, last week we had a meeting la with Indlovukazi indodakazi kaBab Credo. Sikhuluma ngayo lento eyenzakala ngoJune 16 ukuthi kugcine manje youth misinterpreter what Helen Zille wrote emaphepheni, which is why we are talking about the media today, because it has been consistent in terms of treating umuntu omnyama as a second-class citizen. Ever since the fall of the great empire of Kemet, we've been products, the media. So besikhuluma ngayo ukuthi youth ya 76 are willing and ready to go and apologize kuBab Credo for whatever happened. Baze bashise umuzi wakhe bahlukumeza nomama, so yifu elibi lelo amongst the youth, especially of that generation, because ayikho into ezolunga ngaphandle kokuthi silungise lelo cala. So siyabonga ukuthi umoya uvumile, ugogo uNozipho mhlambe uzofika, angazi uzofika nini ukuthi azoyi-announce lento, ngoba umsebenzi bowuhlelwe ngi-25, ukushona kaBab Credo ngi-25 zikaMarch, meaning ukuthi mesibuye nzalo elanga sibhekene nalo umsebenzi ukuthi samukeleke lolo xolo from youth, because lezi zinto lezi singazithatha kancane, but yizo izinto ezenza ukuthi singayi phambili. Remember, as a nation, in 1994, we're supposed ukuthi senze umkhosi or ritual yokubuyisana singabantu abamnyama, and sibike madlozini ukuthi asisekho empini, sesikule zinga esikulo, sizama ukuthi sithuthuke, kepha azange sikwenze lokho. So amakhosi namakhosikazi afa emhlabeni basaphethe imkhonto isabheke phezulu namanje. Yingakho udlame neviolence will never end in our lives until we do these important rituals. So lega Bab Credo izogeza all the generation that was involved in 1976, ngoba without lokho akukho vele okuzolo. So i-demonstration nje ukuthi i-power of the media, the reason why she chose the topic, so that as we are in the process of dissecting this monster that is killing us, and trying to see understand ukuthi iyini, and what then sustains and maintains this colonial power and mindset amongst the people is the media. It's the media because it's the media that made you normalize colonization. But ubani law was responsible for media ka Hitler. Yebo. The more you repeat a lie, it ends up being believed as the truth. So that is the strategy that they were able to actually maintain that. So because once colonization, happened, Tina, as the African people, siwa, and the siwiswa yini, greediness amongst ourselves. Because the enemy has the power, because some amongst us agree with the enemy. That is how the enemy has got power over us, because some, amongst us bavumelana nengcindezelo yethu for their own personal benefits. So this is what happened. Sawa, the great empire of Kemet, which ruled the world. But for Uguti Abelung, but maintain the control that they have, they had to deal with our minds. The mindset had to be attacked immediately. How do you attack the mindset? By repeating a lie. To say Africa is a dark continent. Africa never produced anything. Sikula sonke sikwazi lokho. Guthi yinto esifunda njalo. Umlungu came here on the continent, wazosi savor from our barbarism. And yet the truth, the opposite is true. Yithi esasivelize abelungu. So umuntu omnyama uyi-product ye-media. I-media of the colonial media. Because kumanje nje sihlukene religiously, politically, socially nje asizwani singabantu abamnyama. Why? Because it's a consistent strategy that is being implemented eyaqala kudala, where they work on your mind as a black person. You even doubt yourself, your self-worth. Uzibone nje ukuthi I know mina I'm not worthy of anything. Why? Because umlungu uthe uma ungena certificate lesi mina ngisidingayo, then you don't qualify in my system. And as you know, Guti, when you internalize something from outside, it then becomes difficult for you to understand leyo nto leyo. So yingakho kuthiwa abantu abamnyama, they are stupid. Siyilima, we are not able to comprehend izinto. Usifundisa wrong. I-genetic makeup yethu ayithathi lokho. Kwabanye abantu it even rejects it for life. Bese kumuntu bese kukholelwa kuleyo nto. Kanti umuntu uzalwe netalent lakhe. And that talent akekho umuntu ongayithatha kuwe. But manje through media you've been made to believe ukuthi wena we are useless as an African person. The only worth that you have is to serve others. Ishintsheni in land from you being a parent to you being a slave, saying ingane zakho, because abelungu ingane zakho. How did it change? And how was it maintained? How come I didn't know about inzalo yelanga? Whilst I'm in South Africa, it's been there for thousands of years. Media doesn't promote. That is the colonial media again. The colonial media will always have the agenda. My initiative have been tried, like newspaper like Isolezwe. ilanga laseNatal. You know, those were newspapers that made a contribution towards raising the consciousness yomuntu ukuthi la eSouth Africa abantu basa under oppression. So mele si understand nayo leyo ukuthi singayishiye emuva ngoba kumanje nje si deal with that monster. Siyafundisa la ingane. Maybe fike ekhaya they are bombarded by media. Media yethu is not serving us. The SABC is not screening the things that they're supposed to be screening. Siyakhala kanje, you know, it's very, very sad for Mnyama because in China, it was the responsibility of those that are in positions of power and influence to think like that. The importance of a culture. The Chinese leadership had visionary leaders who knew that culture, without a culture, you don't have a nation. Because you need a glue, something that will bind your nation together so that you act, you think as a collective. Not all this individualistic approach in everything. This is what is killing us. And what maintains that is the media. Is the media again abati bona they are democratic? How are you democratic if you are going to tell me a lie right from inception? Magu establish republics on the continent. Who convinced people that these republics are a step towards development and enlightenment? And yet, that is not the case. They knew, immediately knew. Namanje, they know the form of governance on the continent, of course. But it's never promoted. Why? Because it doesn't serve the interest of the colonial media. Mabek Nigeza, like in 94, were supposed to have a choice. He promoted in the media, kutiwa, this is the Western type of governance. SI Tola lapping established by these colonizers. And here's our own. We then make a choice, but we didn't. Media was part of that strategy to keep us dumb so that we never question. We find ourselves a voter. You can't say, Guti, you never voted for this system. All of us voted for this system. But we didn't know Guti is voter. Why? Because all the confidence was in leadership. When you are in leadership, that is why Magu leadership, Agmelanga u Batin. Ube ngapha na ngapha. No, ungabi fence-sitter. Hey, you can't be a fence-sitter, in a position of, power and influence. You need to take sides. So, manje, if you as a leader, an African leader, and it's common in the continent. Wonke umuntu, opted, for that position. As a leader, you then see nothing wrong in presiding over a Republic of Kenya, Republic of Ghana, Republic of Ivory Coast. You see nothing wrong. And you know very well, Guti, the structure, it was designed by Abelung. But then Umlungu promotes Guti, where now you are a better person. You've been trained enough in my system to go and control that system. The media promotes that lagu. Guti, no, it's civilization. This is what they are telling you. Whilst bathathu uMhlaba wakho, they are saying is civilization. And you must see it as something that is normal. Ukulimala komqondo. Yingakho we need to go back and revisit zonke lezi zinto ukuthi masibuilda yini lesibuildayo. And what structures do we need media is the most important influential thing. Media okwamanje sinenhlanhla because sine independent channel yethu. Before besinganayo, we would rely on SABC for us to actually even talk about these things, because SABC ayifuni le content. Then SABC eyabo bani if it's not going to support the interest yabantu abamnyama on the continent, not only in South Africa. Is the SABC or the media in general there to perpetuate the lie? Mele siloko sivuma ukuthi no, the decision, that's another thing. The decision eyenziwa botata nabo Trevor Manuel when they allowed companies in the JSE to have a primary, a listing outside. Meaning ukuthi billions were allowed to leave South Africa. Then, and the last corner manje is the result of those decisions. Who promoted those decisions as something that is noble, something that has to be done for us to be global? They're giving us all these terms, and yet by us thoughts are in the process. How many trillions left South Africa? Because if the Anglo on its own is worth almost $1 trillion, the Anglo, and you allow them to go and list in London, it means all their assets are outside. What is left in South Africa for development? Nothing. So these are the things engithi, I guess sihlaziye. Sibone ukuthi how are being controlled? How are we being disadvantaged? South Africa no longer has gold. How am I going to explain? Zesilo lapha, or the little ones, amachiji. Ukuthi South Africa once had gold, but I have nothing to show for that. When they calculate the value of gold abayikhiphile, it goes into trillions. Into that could have transformed life yomuntu omnyama for better. Just that mineral, gold, angisakhulumi ngabo platinum and all these things. Who's responsible to lalas? Media. Why? Because nakhona we believe. At some point in 94, people were scared to make decisions. Why? Because media beba controller behind. The minute when a mistake, your name is in the papers. Babhale nje story singaka ngawe. Bese kuya retreater now. Abantu now were letting ama budgets go back to the treasury. Why? Because they were afraid to make decisions. We allow this media ukuthi is control. And maybe kubona ukuthi no, usupporta njengalento angazi whether it was true or not. The investment eyenziwa uKhanya, whether it was justified or not, Khanya idlomo. The way abelungu bebekhuluma ngayo lento lengakhona, uyazi bampaint umuntu as if wenze icala leli lingaka and avunyelwe ama structures of government. Angazi, I don't know the truth about behind that, but this is what they do. They scare you ukuthi usabe ukwenza ama decisions. Why? Because bazokupenda bakupende la in the media. Now where you end up retreating. So thina ke remember ukuthi bamenzani uMamwini. Remember bamenzani uMamwini. But we never azange size simyekele ayedwa. So ukusaba le media le, because iqiniso somehow emerges. Kumanje nje we know ukuthi zonke lezi zinto bebempenda ngazo uMamwini azikho. Abantu abamnyama end up ended up hating umama. But umbulali. The very same people umama beke balwela. Engalali makungcwatshwa kufe umuntu lapha. She's the one there. But the very same black person, umlungu ngoba uthe umama umbulali. Ngale media yakhe, we ended up believing foolishness. Bazo confessa umama sekehambile. Ukuthi it was all a lie. Ukuphi-ke wena muntu omnyama who was following that lie? Hey, anybody is a target. Na indlovukazi la isenkingeni. Leadership and the same qoga, but ngiyazi ukuthi ithemba lami ukuthi uhamba nomoya. Hey, uyazi mohamba nomoya, it doesn't matter ukuthi labantu bathini. Kepha la uthunywe khona uzofika. Nothing will stop you. So into esemqoka ke makhehla ukuthi si understand ipower ye media. Si understand nobumqoka ukuthi we need to set up independent media houses. Hey. And media houses, you see problem abantu abaningi ne abayenzayo ukuthi when they did the research yabo, when they were reading about the continent, they only focused on the political history of the continent. So that is their problem, because that is limited. When you only know the political history, you need to go beyond. Look at pre-colonial history of the continent. Then your content is unlimited. Ungakhuluma nje kuze kuyovalwa. Because it's a long journey that we have to walk going back. So yingakho ke abantu noma ba set up izinto. Bazi set up, with the view ukuthi as much as I can want to be a black consciousness driven, but kunalama advertisers. You see? So media control my advertisers. Because my advertisers, but tenga is space on your platform. Why? Because they want to push their agenda. So kusemqoka ke again ukuthi see industrialize our places so that we are able to create lama billions and the trillions that we need, so that uma ukhehla aqala i-TV station une guarantee support of about 3 or 4 or 10 billionaires that would say ukuthi from my company I dedicate so much to push the agenda yabantu abamnyama, because there's no colonial media that can give us this platform, because bayazi kahle ukuthi le content iyawuketula umbuso wabo. Just the understanding ye calendar. If umuntu omnyama can understand and readopt the calendar yabo, umbuso wabelungu uyaketula. Because from the calendar we are then able to build on calendar, then the education system, content. Abantwana bayadutshulwa namhlanje. For crying nje, education. The education, ne-decolonization of content. Baxakiwe ke lapho. See? Where are you going to get that content if your only source is Western type of institutions? About UNIS, about VETS. About VETS don't teach you this content. So manje baxakekile, it's a, catch 21. How are they going to transform the education system content? Because you need to go back pre-colonial history. I-content yakho is there. You don't need any other content. Sinayo asidingi nix. But umlungu usichanelile. Wasinikeza ukuthi from university, from by professor, this is what you learn. Then you ask ukuthi, okay, if I know nama degrees I 6. but lama degrees I6 wonke, it's all about Western philosophy. How are you relevant for the future? Because if future demands a content pre-colonial, history your continent. So if VETs ne UNISA don't provide that content, how are you going to transform? They don't even want to be inclusive, because for us to transform the education system, content, we need to involve all black people in the world. There are black people in America, there are black people in the UK, everywhere in Europe, people that are advanced in terms of research of the original content of the continent. So you need to go back there. Don't be afraid to say, I don't know. And you need to go and kneel in front of Gogo Mkhulu, who still understand indonza, the serious. Nesicela Nkobe, iVenus. Ukuthi mezivela zisho lokhu nalokhu nalokhu. Indonza mayivela isho lokhu nalokhu. Yilabantu esithi amaqaba. So you need to humble yourself and kneel, in front of them. Bakunikeze leyo content because they still have. But now, how are you going to do that if i-arrogance yokuthi mina nginama degrees I6 ngiyoguqa nje emuntwini wasemakhaya? Hey, that is why even professors and doctors need to be re-educated into this content, because that is the content of the future. Remember ukuthi abelungu basikhiphe from being connected to nature. Into esiyenzayo thina is to reconnect ourselves to nature again, so that whatever we need, because when you connect there, you connect to eternity, the ever-presence of the initial substances that form the creation. So manje ma disconnect from that, ungitshele ukuthi that is barbarism. Who is a barbarian, between somebody who understands the causal plane and the effect, than somebody who just understands the effect? Ubani parida. Hey, because when you understand both, you have a comprehensive view. Hey, bakutshele ukuthi no man, mambo jambo, baze bakutshele kanjalo. Hey, but mambo jam. So we then talk about our limitations, but those limitations, the promotwa yini, media. I once said, Abo Einstein, Abo Newton were students of Imhotep. Imhotep is the original scientist. Kahle kahle Imhotep reincarnated Ubab Credo, because Ubab Credo was everything that Imhotep was. He was a scientist, he was an artist, he was an architect, he was everything. Why? Because of that frequency, 7.8. Earth frequency. Ubab Credo was able to connect to that. And yet he says Sambulelo all the time. I said to you, the Dogon people went to Sirius Star without going there physically. Yeah. They went, they came back and wrote everything. About Kepler, when they, came after some time by interpreter, what was written by the Dogon people, they find that it's factual, it's the truth. And they discovered this information without telescopes. Yeah. Back to nature. Hey, technology it was more advanced. Hey, nature. But uColumbus uye angithi na into by promote. uColumbus uye wa discover America when we were there long before. History now teaches us ukuthi bokwamanga. But would the media come back and apologize? They won't do that, because it doesn't serve their purpose. okhokho bethu knew about ama-currents, mimoya. Ukuthi mengi thatha umkhumbi ngufaka lento zolwandle ngalesikhathi sonyaka. Kunale current that will push me directly to America. That's science, natural science. Understanding the laws that govern the universe. Manje, that is superior knowledge. Siloko sibambelele kune knowledge yengane, abelungu ingane kuwe. They can't teach you anything. Wena mele ubabuyise endleleni ubatshele ukuthi there's a causal plane, because the causal plane bathi mbambo jambo. And that is your strength as an African person. Yingakho bathi uyaloya, uloyi. You are a scientist. Hey, awuloyi, we are a scientist. Mawenza izinto that they cannot understand. You know, they can't comprehend izinto zomoya. Then beseke baza nale bayibizani ukhehla ulwele ukuthi ife witchcraft act. Hey, yazi sekhona namanje. Namanje is still there. Yingakho you'll find that the government is not even able to entertain the question yama herbs. Why? Because of that, act. So immediate again. Isenze ukuthi si normalize ini our view and colonization. Ngeke ngasho la ukuthi one of the conferences the decolonization lapha eUNISA. After my speech kunama professor two and unfortunately bakhuluma kanje ngizojika. Boy two bathi mina no ngiyamuza uMkhulu but mina have long normalized the colonization, meaning that they've accepted the way the colonizer have presented izinto. So lo muntu ufundisa ingane yakho loyo. He's a professor. Why? Because of imedia. Imedia yaba promoter. Yaba promoter just like you promote Obani. You know, the first B is we know Guti, our movement didn't have a, economic policy. But now, abelungu bezake they offered. Benzani. But promoter law. Oh no, it's the leader of black economic empowerment. Oh no, it's the leader. Satshelwa yibo. Thina zange sibabone bafaka ama-factory la. Ukuze babizwe ama-leader of black economic empowerment, they were supposed ukuthi babizwe because of izenzo zabo in our communities. Why? Because now they are being given these shares. And nakhona ukubrajwa ukuthi for me to protect. I was in mining at some point. Anglo has got concessions that they will mine in 100 years. They won't release some of those concessions. Yingakho ke ba appointa labantu laba who are supposed to be representing us as a black, empowerment leaders. That's the reason. To protect lezo zinto ukuthi in 100 years, generations zengane zethu will benefit. It must be honored when nakhetla yingakho nakhona. They won't allow any black leader to fiddle with the constitution. The minute ungena kulesa sihlalo, meliyo reporter ukuthi I will never touch the constitution, especially the issue of the rights, whatever. No. Property rights. Property rights. Okay. Is being affected. And you forgetting ukuthi thina Africa. There's no property bayibizani lento le. Title deed. Asinayo thina leyo nto. I-title deed, i-justification yomtsotsi. When they've stolen your land, then they claim ukuthi no bawona banikezwa inkosi uCetshwayo, banikezwa inkosi uMakhado, banikezwa inkosi uSibanibani. inkosi sibanibani benganikeli ukuthi ibanikeza ukuthi kube yinto yabo ngoba akekho umuntu that is supposed to own the land. The land belongs to uMvelinqangi nomkhubulwane. Yes. So now it's the media again who are telling us ukuthi no. Nami sengifuna ama-title deeds. Hey. Emakhaya lokho akwenzeki lokho. Emakhaya akuna-title deed lapha. Mawufika ukhuleke enkosini ucela indawo iyakusikela inkosi. Mase ungasekho mhlawumbe umndeni somuvile is given to somebody else. Kunaleyo rotational system. Isaphila that thing emakhaya. But manje because la emalokishini ngeke kulunga. Bahambe manje batshontsha uMhlaba bahambe bayuse that land as collateral to go and ask for loans overseas. That's what they did. That's what they did. Abo corner these banks. Say Bank of America ngayiphi? Bank of Lisbon. There were these banks that were very active in terms of funding amabhunu. Amabhunu use our resources and land as a collateral to fund the apartheid, perpetuation apartheid ukuthi thina sicindezelwe. Namhlanje ukuthi lawo ma-company must not be touched because the minute you demand, you make such demands, you are going to affect the stock market. Who owns the stock market? Who owns the stock market? If 95% is still owned by abelungu, what are you going to affect? Because it's a justifiable demand that you are making. You funded abantu that perpetuated ingcindezelo yami. I need to be compensated by you. And inkomo zasekhaya that were more than 2 million ezathathwa amabhunu. Bazimukisa kuphi mebezithengisa bazinikiza lama bank. They deposited in these banks. And these banks are filthy rich today because of our resources. Who is silent or silencing us about raising such things? It's the media. The minute you start raising such things, but when they reverse racism, in leyo nto leyo.
Public protector in media, because he was investigating ABSA or such law.
No, that's another issue whether in political, but the fact ukuthi that thing happened. ABSA was bailed out and it was supposed to pay us back. They didn't pay us, and the namanje is still like that. The minute you raise such things, bayakateka in the media. So when are we going to learn as abantu abamnyama ukuthi we've been controlled, we are a result or a product of this colonial media? Our thinking has been shaped by this media. We no longer think like amakhosi namakhosikazi. We are Democrats now. Hey, sisitshela nje ukuthi ubukhosi it's barbarism. Ubukhosi is the center. Look at what is happening in Britain. Abantu, they are very jealous about their royalty lab, because the royalty iyaba unify, it's a symbol of unity, and it grounds them. Geb. When about discourage, they are living that system. When about discourage, good, you can't implement that system. Kanjani. Now we have. Hey, now we are in conflict with the ancestor. We are in conflict with uMakhado, uPambata, bonke labantu abomantatise who were fighting for this land, in defense of this land from the colonizer. You are in conflict now, manje when. Why? Because wena sowufuna ukubusa lezwe ngentando yalabantu who came and killed them. Bafo Bambatha balwela lo mhlaba. Wena nje uyalinikezela kanjalo izwe. Why unga implement the very same system as Britain? Yeah, it works. It works for the British people. Why are they discouraging it like I? It's because abana sabelo esigodlweni sakamthethwa. Bongena kanjani lapho? So anything abangena ngeke ba benefit kuyo, they discourage you. The media again. Tomorrow, namhlanje uzothola ukuthi even in our movements and political parties, abantu nje babhekene ngamanye amehlo. We are enemies because of this media. Yini into eyenza ukuthi ANC ilwe nenkatha ne-EFF? Yini? Because what we want is the same thing. Why sihlukene? Sihlukene because that division is promoted by the media. By busy democracy. You are in a democratic state. You need to be divided so that you are kept in the condition. It's the media again. Kuchi, it's a healthy democracy when black people are so much divided. Kanti ngabe sidila ngayo yonke lento le. Akuna mehluko. Umuntu we-EFF ufuna the same thing, we-ANC, we-IFP. We all want the same thing. Sifuna uMhlaba wethu, sifuna nomcebo. Sifuna ukubuyiselwa lapha and be plugged back to Lwamoya we-Afrika. Hey! Akuna mehluko. Akuna mehluko, but media is promoting that. Into ngabe labantu ngabe they were fair. Bokumele bayikhuze lento le ngo94. When they had uBabu Makwethu ephikisana noTata ukuthi no uTata make extend a hand ukuthi sicela sihlangane. Wathini uBabu Makwethu want no mina ngiyangapha. Abanye bathi siyangapha. Abanye bathi siyangapha. Media never said anything ukuthi the decisions you are making is going to affect generations to come. They never spoke, that language, but they promoted, it's a healthy democracy when there's IFP, when there's a ANC, when there's a PAC, when there are, all these black consciousness movement. Shokuti is divided. Hey, if ngabe besine media yetu, besizoyibona lento ukuthi umbhedo it's immature. It's an immature decision for you ukuthi uzalwa as a country. Uzalwa isandla sile, ikhanda lile, inyawo zile, uhlukene. So uphuma nje wena so scattered. How are you going to grow? You can't. Ngoba kulabo kumele vele sihlangane khona sikhombisa unity because sahlupheka ngokufana. Amakhehla ethu were supposed to unite in 94 and say, okay, fine, thina singabantu abamnyama, we have one voice. Ngabe sikude manje in terms of development yethu. Yonke into ngabe besiyifisa ngabe yenzeka manje. Ingane ngaba ikhali kangaka. Zikhala ngokuthi nge-education. Cabanga labantwana bakhalela yona le education okusase ipoison. That is still colonizing them. Esabatshela ngabo Einstein nabo Newton over Bob Credo nabo hotep. Ipoison. You can't even offer a better education as a leadership to your children. How do you trust your enemy to educate your children? And you are even paying a premium for that colonization of your children. Hey, because that's what we do. Some see abantwana bethu like kolweni zabelungu. Asikwazi ukublame. Sikuleyo situation sonke. We are all guilty as charged. But manje lokho kuthi kumele si set up ikolo zethu. I-content ikhona sidingi i-content yabelungu. From sub A, umuntu azafike e-university. Ikhona i-content ready. Is ready. We've identified people that are advanced in that process. Abantu okumele sibalethe la for a conference of decolonization of the education system. But we are not given a chance. Hey, we are not given a chance. Siyakokota iminyango ivaliwe. Ngathi sikokota le Israel o China. Ngumsuthu ngumvenda ngicela ungivulele. Kanjani? This is my own country. I need my own content. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with that? When you are still of the belief that Africa is a dark continent. Data. Hey, usivulele umnyango lapha silungise lento. Because lento mele ilunge for ingane. Hey. Hi from Bantu education in Bantu education. Huh? Ukuphi manje? Are you not worse off? Benzani abantu who are most educated? Abaqhelanga from us. Baqhelile. So education that makes you behave in that way, it has poisoned you. Amajuda enzani namachina. The more they are educated is the more. Saturday bonke abadrive. Bahamba ngabaqhuba isiko lwabo. That's education. We are promoting your own culture. The education leyo. Hayi education ezothi no, i-culture yami is inferior. You are messing me up. Ingane zethu buya la ziyakhumsha zikhuluma ngamakhala. Mesibuye edrobheni. Hey. So izinto lezi okumele siqaphele ezipromothwa ile colonial media ukuze thina sizinormalize. We see it as normal. Cabanga ngiyobhadala i-premium. Mawubheka la ingane yonke le mali lokhu ibhadala. Especially from sub A to form 5. Yini lo sayikhumbula? Yonke lo 12 years. Ukhumbulani? Ngoba mawufike evarsity, mele uqalele phansi. Bakufaka ngazi bayakadvise ukuthi hey, ungaya ngapha o ngapha. At that age, we are still blank. Awazi ukuthi ufuna ukwenzani after form 5 matric. Kanti lento ngabe uyiqale lapha ku sub A man. Wakhula nayo lento le. Hey. By the age of 12 years, you are an expert. If sikufake ku finance, you are a trader lapha e stock market at the age of 12. Wenza ama millions. Hey. Because that's what traders do. Wenza ama millions. Omunye simbona ukuthi uguti ngokwakha. Ulandela ubaba njalo ubaba mekakha lo is a builder. Asimfakeni lapha. That's our education system. That is how it should be. How is loko siyimoshela isikhathi, but who's promoting that? Media. I know i-education provided abelungu is much better. Yingakho umntwana wami can learn la elokishini. And that is a decision ikakhulu yenziwa umama, but nakhona ngeke uba blame. Hey. Oh mama, no, it's true. Kwaba ne research, it's true. There was a research done. Oh mama bathi. They don't understand ukuthi abantwana why kumele bafunde isintu. IsiZulu, isiXhosa, because bathi it has no use. Hey. The Western culture pays the bill. So bathi umntana makafundele English. Angikhathali noma ngayikhulumi la ekhaya isiZulu kushap. As long as azoba ne opportunity yokuqashwa. Yingakho ngithi thina we can't blame omama. Because if thina siyahluleka obaba to provide for our families, abomama will take decisions. Like, the queen was Santewa, Nsingiza. There were men who were afraid to fight these British people. Queen Zinga was sukuma wathi ifinina enilengisa whatever niyasaba thina mama siyaphambili siyamlwisa lo mlungu, and she did that. Yebo. So these are such stories that you will never read about in the media, or in the education system. So i-control yethu soloko ilapha. They can't even teach you umantatisa, i-role kamantatisa bokuyini. Very few people still understand and know umantatisa. Bakhona bamazila. Yabona. A person that played a very, very prominent role to defend abantu abamnyama against the colonizer. Unzinga la elentuze Mozambique. La Zimbabwe ubani. Who's the queen? Nihanda in Zimbabwe. Why? Because his strategy sabelungu is to suppress the female energy. That is why they introduce the Trinity yabo, which is fake. It has nothing to do with nature. It can be the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Where's the mother there? Who promoted that again? Media. So, abelungu la baze baplenile. The whole strategy. Ukuthi for us, ukuthi siyilungise, sidile nomqondo womuntu omnyama, we need to have a mouthpiece. A mouthpiece that promoted their ideas. Maungafaki ithai phela before. Bobizi uqaba. That is when colonization started, with our people. Especially labantu who went to missionary schools. Those people, were worse off, man. The people who went to missionary schools, yibo laba who ended up going to Nabo Tiosoka. Bayocela queen ukuthi queen yehlise the stronghold in South Africa. Instead ukuthi bathathe ibhamu badubulela abantu bahambe la eSouth Africa. Uyoncenga iqueen kanjani? We understand ukuthi bokuyisikhathi salokho, but you would rather die trying. Hayi ukuthi manje for you usuke la ngeskepe. Phela those were our intellectuals. About Tiosoka. Those were our intellectuals. Nyamazi Tiosoka. One of our, great guys. But manje, they were great because they were able to articulate the Western philosophy much better than other Africans. And Nakona, who promoted that, media. Ukuthi wena, if wena, if ungangenanga waba imember yesondo, ngesikungcwabe. As if sidinga umfundisi. We don't need umfundisi. Mesingcwatshwa. That's why namhlanje abantu abaningi bayisontweni. Ukuthi mengishona la mele ngcwatshwe umfundisi othize. Foolishness. Enough. Foolishness. Why? Because umuntu wakwamthethwa akakwazi ukukhapha umuntu wakahlongwane. Awunayo lo right. Umuntu wakahlongwane mele akhashwe abantu bakahlongwane finish. Kungakhulumi futhi omunye umuntu lapho. Ukhulumani? Yini lozo ikhuluma? Hawu. Hey, ifana nalena ukuthi nihambe niyosukela idlozi lamaJuda uJesu leli. Ngilokho nithi Jesu. Ukuzwa kanjani lo muntu lo? Uzwa. Mina nguhlongwane. Angikwazi ukukhuluma idlozi la kwaMthethwa ngalingizwe. Ngoba silane yami leyo. What more umuntu le Israel? Look at the distance. Ule Israel lo muntu lo. Umthethwa ngithi umthetho la next door. Akakwazi ungena ekhaya khulumile nabakahlongwane. O mina ngicela edlozini lakhona. Unless uma wami umthethwa. Ngaphandle kwalokho umphetho nje. Hey. So imedia nakhona. Abo mama bangena ama society. Khona ikhazini yami incwatshwa last week. Labantu laba bayabhadala umfundisi. Huh? Umfundisi udemand ama-1,000. Hayi bekani so much. Bengahambi isonto lo mama but ngizomncwaba. That's abnormal. Why? Kuyahlutshekwa lapha ekhaya. Lo madlanyana ngabe iqhubekisa kunye. But now because ama status la in the community, ungcwatshwe without umfundisi hayi, bongasumncwabo lo. Residue of a colonial mindset. You don't need umfundisi. Mina please ngizonipokela. The day ngishona la. Niletha abafundisi. Hayi ngiyovuka la ngilele khona ngithi angeke. Thokozani makhehla. No ngiyabonga ngithi ngibonga nje isikhathi nendlebe. Asenzi lokhu because siswele umsebenzi. Kunenge ngabe siyakwenza. Kepha sizama ukureconstruct le ndlu emnyama. Ukuthi sizazi singobani and siya kanjani phambili. Lokho okusasicindezela kumele sika-identify ukuthi noma kwenzeka uma babhala kabi ngawe khehla kumele ngihlale nawe ngokubuza ukuthi bathini lapho ngamane ngikholelwe because i-agenda kabani labayiphushayo khona manje baxabanisa ama-leaders ethu lo ulwa nalo nawe ulwa I understand but create confusion. That is the strategy vele because they want to move us attention yethu from focusing on the real issues. The real issues like the calendar. The calendar is the real issue. Ungangitsheli ukuthi usibanibani uhlebe loya then the next thing bayalwa it's all over. Huh? Front page of news. Ukuhleba nje kungenaphi lapho. Kepha thina mesikhuluma ngale calendar ngakuyibona ilentuza front line. Huh? Front page. Why? Because it's not working for the benefit of the colonizer. The colonizers, system, it's well alive. Hey. It's not. It can't be newsworthy when I case. It can't be newsworthy. Njengoba ngishilo lama advertisers yiba ba control content. Hey. Uma singacela si come up with something as a replacer angazini uzalo or generation but something of substance ekhuluma ngomuntu omnyama the greatness of a black person they won't allow that content in the media. Why kanti le SABC ekabani huh? Manje ke angitshele wena if you are a CEO ye SABC ulokhu ufunzwa icontent oyibonayo kahle ukuthi le content is destroying my nation. Uthini? Where's your conscience? Ulenduza well ube no ulenduza kwakho kuraraza kwakho bani? ubani manje uhlawudi hey ube nokuraraza kwakhe kepha lento beyikhuluma iqiniso hey because uzwa if you are saying 80-20 80 foreign it means ukuthi ama rights la owabhadalayo every year the money is leaving the country. A bulk of what you are generating is leaving the country. Kanti mawujikisa lento le. Labantu that you are paying are South Africans. You are making millions for those people. So imedia mele siqaphele makhehla. Imedia isasicontrola namanje. Imedia yiyo noma sesazi ukuthi ukuguqa nge-25 zika December umbhedo but sisaguqa. Hey. Ngoba umlungu uthe it make no correlation with the southern hemisphere's energy. Yinto yase northern hemisphere but because umlungu uthe even people in positions of power basabambe lelo lentulo ukuthi umlungu wathi millions are pumped ngo December towards the celebration of umbhedo kahle kahle. Hey abantu base north basibukile nje ukuthi labantu bayahlanya kunokuthi bakhuphula amadlozi abo ngoSeptember bakhapha thina basincedisa ukuthi sikhuphula wethu ukuze siba control much better. That's what we do. And it's how many years through this false liberation? 20-something years. We are still doing the same thing. But umuntu that does one and the same thing and expect a different result, lo muntu wenzani? Thokoza guys. It's true. You can't do the same thing and expect different results. There's something wrong with you. Hey. Usaba nje ukushintsha. Usaba nje ukushintsha so that u-align with the natural flow of energy. I know. Christmas yiyo. Sangena ngayo. Angithi nawe wavotela lo mbuso. Ngavota manje akusho ukuthi manje lento is cast in stone. It can be changed. When there's a will amongst the people. And that is when leadership ihlukanisa kanjani. Umuntu esithi leader simbona ngokuthi athathe ama decisions that are difficult but that are beneficial for a majority of his people. That's a leader to us. So malo uzoloku saba wena usefencing from 94 usefencing namanje. Uhleli lapha njengenyoni. So ngiyabonga makhehla. Ngiyabonga ngizoba khona for imibuzo ifikhona. Siyengage nje you know. Thokoza.
Thokoza Mkhulu. A round of applause for Mkhulu. Okay, Mkhulu deserves another round of applause. Yes, thank you so much, Mkhulunsingiza. Mkhulu has such a gift. He's got such a gift that we can't even go to the bathroom. We don't want to miss a thing. We get